What's going on, guys? T-Mart here, and in this video, I wanted to recap Sony's E3 conference. So as you guys know, this week is the week of E3. The actual event is tomorrow, Tuesday through Sunday, but today, which is Monday, is a day that all the major gaming companies do their press conferences. And I actually kind of recapped the Microsoft conference earlier today, so make sure to check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. But now I want to recap the Sony conference, because obviously we're going to learn a lot about the PlayStation 4 in it. So starting off at the very start of the conference, Sony actually fired some shots at Microsoft. They had this quote when they were talking about the PlayStation 4. They said it's a gaming console, not an entertainment console. So they're kind of making fun of Microsoft and their earlier, Xbox One reveal event when all they talked about was, TV and Netflix and, all that kind of stuff. So Sony kind of fired some shots at them, and then they moved on and they talked about the PS Vita and a lot of the games are going to be coming out on the PS Vita. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to that just because, I don't have a PS Vita. I don't think a lot of people do, and it's not really the highlight of the Sony conference. The PS4 is going to be the highlight, but they did say that the PS Vita is going to be the ultimate companion device for the PlayStation 4, and it's going to have really, really good compatibility with like Skype, movies, YouTube, all that kind of things. So I don't know, it should be pretty cool. Maybe it'll be a cool accessory that we might want to get when we do get the PS4, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, they announced that The Walking Dead Episode 2, which is called 400 Days, is coming this summer. So if you haven't played The Walking Dead by Telltale Games, it's one of the best games I have ever played in my entire life, and I was so emotionally involved in that game, it was crazy. So make sure you guys watch my Let's Play on T-Martin 2 if you haven't seen it, or play it for yourself. Both ways are going to be very good. Now, next up, they talked a little bit about The Last of Us, which is a new game that I'm very, very excited for. It actually comes out this Friday, June 14th. So that should be pretty cool. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play on T-Martin 2 of that as well. And then they talked about some of the PlayStation 3 games that will be coming this year. They talked about Puppeteer, Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Gran Turismo 6, Batman Arkham Origins, and then they're also making an exclusive Grand Theft Auto 5 console bundle where you can get the game and a PS3, which I think is a little bit weird. I don't know why they would come out with a bundle like that when the PS4 is about to launch. And then finally, they announced a Grand Theft Auto 5 headset. So yeah, that was about the PS3. Let's get into the PS4 because this is where the meat and potatoes are. So anyway, starting off, they revealed the console, and it's a black box that looks very, very similar to the Xbox One, or you could say they both look similar to one of those old VCRs. Neither one of them are very impressive. They're just black boxes. Technically the visuals don't really matter. It's just something that's going to be playing your game discs, but it would have been cool if we would have had a really cool looking console to look at. So yeah, you can look up pictures of it if you want to. Now, next up, they talked about Video Unlimited, which is a little ironic. They kept saying, oh, they're all about the games, all about the games. It's not an entertainment console. And then they talked about Video Unlimited, which is all about movies, Netflix, Redbox Instant, Flickster, pay-per-view events, and things like that. So, obviously both consoles you're going to be able to play games on, but you're also going to be able to do other things on that entertain you. So, next up, they talked about their games. And as with the Xbox event, they talked about a lot of the PlayStation 4, exclusives, and then they also talked about some other ones that will be available on both consoles. So they started off with The Order 1886, which appears to be a brand new title that we've never seen before. It looked like the main characters were in the past, but they had kind of futuristic weapons, and they were fighting some sort of monster off in the distance. We never actually saw the monster, but it could have been vampires, could have been werewolves, we're not sure. Now, next up is Killzone Shadowfall. It's a futuristic first-person shooter. I think a lot of you guys are going to know the Killzone series. It looks like a lot of fun. After that was Drive Club, which is a new racing game, which we actually saw at the PS4 launch event that I'm very excited about. Then they went on to Infamous Second Son, which is the third installment in the Infamous series, which I'm a very big fan of. I just played the first two recently and enjoyed them a lot, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then next up, they showed Knack, which was a cartoony game, kind of like, Jak and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank or something like that. And it turns out that was one of the launch titles. So they said that the three launch titles that they were showing were Killzone Shadowfall, Drive Club, and Knack. So those three are going to be launching with the PlayStation 4 when it comes out later this year. Now, next up, they showed The Dark Sorcerer, which, I don't know, they really didn't give us much here. They were like, oh, here's a short little mini teaser. You can watch the full gameplay demo at a different date. But it looked like it was about like sorcerers and goblins and stuff. Next up was Transistor, which was an indie game created by the creators of Bastion. It looked a lot like Bastion. And then right after that, they followed it up with a bunch of indie games in different studios that are going to be first announced and kind of exclusive to the PlayStation 4. So Sony's kind of going after that indie-friendly approach, which is kind of cool. I mean, indie games are always very, very cheap, if not free, and they offer a really cool way to mix it up and find new games that aren't AAA titles and that aren't really well known. So it'll be nice to have that change of pace and have a lot of indie games on one console or maybe both consoles. Xbox hasn't really talked about it yet. Now, next up, they showed Diablo 3, which obviously is a game that's already been out, and they said they had a bunch of exclusive stuff coming to the PlayStation 4 for Diablo 3. And then after that, they showed Final Fantasy Versus 13 or Final Fantasy 14. I'm not exactly sure what it was. I don't know what that series is. I don't know what it means. I know it's a really popular series, but I just, it's beyond me. It was a weird, like, Chinese game, like they were speaking Chinese. They were running around with swords and hand-to-hand combat and water bending and a bunch of crazy stuff. So it was beyond me, but some of you guys might know more about that. Then they announced Kingdom Hearts 3, which I know is a huge game series that I never played. That was before my time. I'm a little bit too young to have played that. Now, next up, they announced Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which obviously I'm very, very excited about. I love the Assassin's Creed series, and they showed some gameplay from that, which looked absolutely amazing. Next up, after AC4, was Watch Dogs, which you've seen a lot of lately, but they showed us some new gameplay that included a lot of driving, which was pretty cool, and that's definitely going to be one of the better games of the year. Then next up, they showed NBA 2K14, which had LeBron in it and had him in like real life talking, and then his character in the game. And honestly, I wasn't all that impressed with how the character looked. I thought he looked a little bit pixelated and a little bit bad, but according to the next gen consoles, you're actually going to be able to see his hairline receding in these games, which is not actually true. It's a joke. But anyway, yeah, NBA 2K14. Next up, they announced The Elder Scrolls Online, which is another one of those games that I've never really played, don't really understand about, but I know some of you guys might be interested in it and might be excited for it. Then next up, they showed Mad Max, which is I don't know, I've never seen anything like this before, but it looked like a pretty cool game. It had a guy in a car come out in the desert, and he was about to shoot this guy, and then he saved him, got in his car, and drove away, and then all of a sudden, he came back and ran right over him, and it was like a really gritty, like, kind of, I don't know, graphic type game, which sounds pretty cool. I look forward to seeing that. And then finally, towards the end of the conference, the last game that they showed was Destiny, which is an upcoming game that's made by Bungie and published by Activision, and it's a first-person shooter set in the future. It's kind of, space-themed. It's almost like Halo. Like, it looks a lot like Halo, so that should be pretty cool. We got some gameplay of it. It looked very, very good, so I'm excited about that. That's going to be available on both consoles, I believe. But yeah, those were all the games they showed. Now, apart from the games, they did share a couple of features, except not that many, kind of like the Xbox did. They did say that the PlayStation 4 is going to support used games, which is a big deal because we don't know if the Xbox One is going to support them yet. So, they said you can trade in games, you can give them to friends, you can sell them on eBay, do whatever you want to do. So, used games are supported on the PlayStation 4. Now, they also said that you do not need to be connected online to play single-player games, and you do not need to authenticate them every 24 hours. So that was a shot fired at Xbox. If you have a PlayStation 4, you don't need to be connected to the internet. There is no DRM or always online or anything like that, which is a major concern for a lot of people over the Xbox One. So that's a pretty big deal. And next up, they announced some new PSN capabilities that you can play games while you're downloading stuff. There's new friends and social networking integrations that I'm sure is with like Facebook and Twitter and things like that. They talked about the share button a little bit, which allows you to stream to Ustream as well as record videos and edit them up and send them to friends or YouTube or anything you want. And then they also said that they're expanding the benefits of PlayStation Plus, which your PlayStation Plus membership carries over from PS3 if you already have one, and you get Drive Club for free, which is a AAA launch title that's coming out on the PS4, which is pretty cool. And then you also get a new title every month for free. Now, I think they're mainly going to be indie games. They aren't really going to be AAA titles, but still, I think that's pretty cool. You pay that $5 a month, I think it is, and you get those games for free. Now, one thing that they did announce with this that is a huge negative for the PlayStation is that you have to pay for PlayStation Plus in order to play online. You have to pay that $5 $65 a month. So now both Xbox and PS4 cost $60 a year in order to play games online, which is a huge negative for the PlayStation. Well, I mean, it's a good thing in terms of it gives them more money to, keep the system up to date, deter hackers and stuff, always make sure they're working on it. But it's a big negative because I know a lot of people have decided to, go with the PS3 over the Xbox 360 just because they didn't have to pay to play online. Well, now both consoles you have to pay to play online, which is unfortunate. Now, next up, they talked a little bit about the cloud-based strategy, and this is a new thing that they're adding in 2014 that's coming out to US people first. But what it is it's a large library of PS3 games that are going to be online, that are going to be available to people that use the PS4 and the PS3. You can stream those games down to your console and you can play them. So, that's a great way to play PS3 games if you don't want to buy the actual physical copy. And then finally, the final announcement of the event right before they dropped the mic was the fact that the PlayStation 4 is going to cost $399. Yes, that's right, $100 less than the Xbox, which that's a pretty big deal. So, I don't know, let me know what you guys think. What do you think about the prices of the consoles, the games that they announced, the exclusive titles that they announced? What are you guys thinking so far? There obviously is still a lot to learn before this November when we actually pick up these consoles, but which one are you leaning towards at this point in time? Thank you all for watching. Check out the other videos that I've posted recently. I put up a lot lately, so you probably missed a few, and thank you guys. Catch you all later. Peace out.